our next topic about ministry leaders, about reaching people. I came across this article, Dr. Rod, and I thought it was absolutely beautiful. Now, not all our viewers will be in Australia, and hopefully we have that great of an impact all over the world. But there's this place in Australia called Arnhem Land, and I actually know a number of people that have spent a lot of time doing ministry trips to Arnhem Land. Now, it is it's almost central in Australia. It's in the Northern Territory. Real desert, real center of Australia stuff. And it's where a lot of tribes of our Australian First Nationals, our Aborigines, live. And there's a lot of communities out there that there's a lot of people trying to reach them for Christ, right? And I actually felt that, first of all, I was excited to see that there was 130 people baptized in this article, 130 people baptized in Arnhem Land. I'm like, that's amazing to see people that are from such an isolated community still hearing about the message, hearing the gospel and being touched by it. And they've, feeling that pull and to be baptized and commit their life to Christ. But what I actually felt, because obviously we're on this trend of talking about innovators, was the way that it was being done. It was, these people weren't just going in, just trying to go, here's our way of worshiping God and this is the way it should be done. What they would do is they were innovating and they were finding ways to integrate the gospel into their cultures, into their existing cultures and traditions, to try to make it more understandable and more relatable to them, rather than just trying to cram it down their throat. And then there was this one quote in the article that really, really got me, that I thought was a real testament to what they're doing. Is the person being interviewed said they're more Christians than we are, according to the dictates of Acts. Sharing possessions and worshiping regularly, and the spirit of our living God is alive 7 days a week, not just on Sundays. And I thought that was beautiful, because I know people that have been out there and the people that are, in relationship with God, they're all about it. And it's amazing what we can actually learn from that as leaders in ministry. What if we were able to innovate in a way that we could connect with people, that their lives would be changed, that they'd be worshiping God 7 days, not just on Sunday. Dr. Rod, what's your take on this story?
Look, I found it really interesting, Craig. And first, I was a little tiny bit wary. I wondered, is it integration or is it blending? Because obviously we're not so keen on blending Christianity with other religious practices or cultural practices. But I think what's been going on here is a recognition that the gospel is relevant across all time, and across all geography, and across all cultures. And so instead of having, formal buildings and hymnals and printed out orders of service and baptismal fonts and all of these kinds of things,
flashing lights, LED screens.
Yeah, there's no smoke machines out there, because you'll never find a PowerPoint to plug it into, and you'll never be able to buy it and buy the smoke, the liquid you've got to pour into the machine. In any case,
the only smoke machine is Uncle Barry. That's the chain smoker of the tribe.
And it was interesting that the photo, one of the photos that accompanied the article, showed people being baptised just in a local creek. And I guess there were no crocodiles there.
I would hope not. Or that's real faith, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But it was these baptisms, they were built around a ceremony which they call the cross dedication ceremony, which apparently is quite unique in that area of remote Australia. And so this was an innovation that had been developed within the communities. And there were, you might call them missionaries, or they were regular church chaplains who actually lived within the communities. They didn't sort of visit, they weren't doing a circuit or anything like that. They were actually living in the communities, and they saw the value in this innovation which had grown within the community itself. And it was quite a simple ceremony, really. A cross was installed, a simple homemade cross. And then there was a whole range of festivity that was built around the cross. And I should say built around the cross,
that's good,
but not built upon the cross.
Yeah.
In other words, Christianity itself wasn't, as it were, being sacrificed for cultural reasons or in order to embrace other religious practices. It was still centrally Christianity, that you could make no mistake about that. But the innovation was saying, well, look, what I'm used to in, say, an urban area of Australia, that's not going to work here. And as you say, Craig, the environment we're used to in many of our metropolitan areas is a building, a fixed building. We go inside, particularly if it's an evangelical or Pentecostal church, or where there's a charismatic influence, it tends to be dark. There's lots of lights, and there's smoke and amplified music, and it's all great. I love it.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. No, yep.
It's perfect in the right context.
Yes.
But that context isn't going to work out there in the context of a very remote part of Australia. It was remarkable that this article was talking about 130 baptisms simultaneously. That doesn't sound like a high number, I know, to many, say, from North America, but given the context, that is quite astonishing. So what they did was to build upon an innovation within the local community.
Yep.
It is clearly a Christian form of celebration. Because of the nature of the communities, this lasts a few days, and it's a little like some of the kinds of celebrations that are recorded in the Old Testament, in fact. And look, I just applaud the communities and those in the churches that are active in that area and have been, incidentally, for over 100 years. So they've really stuck to it.
Yeah.
And I think they've done a great job. And it's a wonderful thing to see so many people coming to accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and Saviour.
Yeah, it's great. I think that the real encouragement here is, obviously, as leaders, we need to be able to innovate, but innovate within the culture in which we are aiming to influence, while not losing our own culture. So we don't want you to change your values. We don't want to change who you are. We don't want to change you to change your purpose and what you're driving towards. But we need to innovate around that, not changing who you are, but innovating so that you can connect with your audience or the people you're trying to lead. We have to find that way where we can integrate some of those things. But even more so, and I suppose a separate message is to all our pastoral leaders, all our ministry leaders out there. Would you like to see 130 people baptized at your church this Sunday?
Well, I can put my hand up to that. I'd
exactly,
love to.
Right? Like, wouldn't you like? Well, are you actually innovating in your community, or have you just set up a church, set up a Sunday service, and expect people to come? Are you integrating and innovating in your local community where you're making an impact, being a part of the community? Because it's only through relationship that transformation can happen. It's only through relationship that that you can actually have influence over someone. And we need to be able to innovate so that we can build those relationships, so that we look different. Look, God has called us to be separate from the world. We have to be separate from the world, right? He says, be in the world, not of the world. And so we do have to be separate. But we also need to innovate and look different from what everyone knows of Christians. Because let's be honest, we as Christians, we haven't done the best at representing ourselves all the time, right? Christians do amazing things. I'm not downplaying what we have done. But let's be honest, if you ask the average non-Christian, they wouldn't have the best view of a church or of pastors or of churchgoers. We need to innovate in that so that they can see something different about us. We need to innovate. There's been so many people that I've built relationship with that they're like, I know that there's something different about you, but you're not like one of those typical pastors, or you're not like one of those typical Christians that they're like, you're all on fire, like for Jesus. Like you're always, but you do it differently. And it attracts them and it makes them more interested. So if you want to have an impact on your community, if you want to be a leader in your community, a ministry leader, and actually change your community, we need to find ways to innovate. We have to find ways to innovate in our communities to actually make impact. And you know what? As always, the links to all our articles are all down below in the description. But I want to give a shout out to all those people that have planted seeds over the years in Arnhem Land, because I know there's people that travel there every year. I know some people that travel there a couple of times a year or multiple times a year or whatever to be able to do ministry, and they've just gone and planted seeds and planted seeds and planted seeds. I want to say congratulations to all of you, because this report is actually part of the seeds that you have sown. So well done. Hey, that was an excerpt from our On the Cube Leadership podcast. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, put a comment below. And if you want to see more content like this, faith-based leadership development content, make sure you check out our channel, give it a subscribe, and hit the bell notification so that you'll be notified when we release new content.